Hey y'all. Like I said, the morning report is going to start just in a few minutes. Gotta make sure that we are ready to go. All right, I think we're ready to go. All right, again, welcome to the morning report. My name is Billy Lawson. The morning report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. We appreciate you being here. We are live on, we're doing something a little different this morning. We're live on Facebook and we're live on Spreaker.com. And if we're live on Spreaker, we're going to soon be recorded on probably 10 or 11 other places to get podcasts, Google, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, pretty much everywhere. Let me move this so it's a little bit more convenient to me. This is episode 300, and I'm going to move it back here because it was better. 313. Wow. Of this particular broadcast. I have been blessed enough to do, I don't know, a couple thousand of these. Not a couple thousand videos, but a couple of thousand audio podcasts. So if you want to look for my podcast, you can go to Real Talk on Blog Talk Radio, and that's pretty much the entire archive. I plan on moving that archive at some point to some place where it's a little easier to get to, but it's quite an ordeal to get everything moved. So hopefully we'll do that soon. It is going to be an interesting, I think an interesting program. I've got a couple of things I want to talk about. This is sort of hit it and get it here. And you guys are welcome, and I'm going to take this video and upload it to YouTube. That's the other one. So if you are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. If you are watching this on my Facebook page, you can go ahead and follow me if you choose to. Unfriend me if you have to. I get it. I'm not here to make friends, and I'm not here to make enemies either. So if you want to, that's very cool. I understand. All right, it's been a busy morning. I went out and got groceries, and then later on, I need to go get the meds. Gotta get the meds for the month. And speaking of the meds, before we get started, the CDC came out with their recommendations on what is safest for fully vaccinated people, and this whole grid of things that are safest. I'm going to go ahead and put those when we get done here. I'm going to go ahead and put those in the replies here. Hey, hon, put these in the replies to see, how you guys think about what you guys think about it. The Florida reply to that is, do whatever you want, whatever. Yeah. Mask, no mask, we don't care. This is Florida, by the way, so yay. And Florida's doing pretty well. I just made a horrific mistake on the audio cast, so we're gonna have to start again. Bummer. We're going to have to start that one again because I unplugged the mic by mistake. Duh. Anyway, so they came out with that piece of information, and one of the interesting parts of it was that I thought one of the interesting parts of it was that I'm going to have to do something special here, but that's okay. I'll fix that later. All right. One of the interesting parts was that did the CDC think that we were wearing masks outside anyway? While we're walking down the city street? Well, maybe in some of the major cities, and I guess they were looking at, I guess they had not been to Florida or Georgia or Texas, where so these guidelines about wearing masks outdoors. What? Anyway, so that's what we're going to do, and we're also going to hit Gavin Newsom's recall petition. There's some interesting news on that, and the way forward, and this is primarily for Republicans and conservatives, the way forward as it concerns the 2022 elections. Some of y'all are going to like this, and some of y'all are going to be mad at me. And like I said, I'm not here to make friends, I'm not here to make enemies. So unfollow me or unfriend me if you have to. I get it. But there are some rock solid. I have some rock solid advice for you moving forward. All right, let's go ahead and get with the Gavin Newsom story, and which I which I think was interesting anyway. I don't know. You may not think it's interesting. As you know, the governor of California has been for a while in a battle to keep his seat. Well, and it's because of there's been a recall petition that has been out and about for a while. It needed 1.5 million signatures. Wow, 1.5 million signatures. That's a lot. That's a big ask even in California, because it's going to have to be pretty much a bipartisan effort. Even in California, to get 1.5 million certified signatures to recall Gavin Newsom. And my friend Shirley says that Gavin Newsom is the nephew of Nancy Pelosi. Does anybody know if that's true? Anybody know if that's true? Write that down. Write that down in the comments, either on YouTube and on Facebook. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise any of us. However, according to NBC News, the task has been done. Gavin Newsom's recall petition has reached officially 1.5 million signatures. Wow. So what's that mean? That means that the recall election can go forward. Now, here's the weird part. And there's weird parts. Because we're talking about, hey Shan, we're talking about California. We've already heard that Bruce Jenner, Caitlin, Bruce Jenner is throwing her boa into the ring. I know. I told you, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to make enemies either. So unfriend me, unfollow me if you have to. I get it. And a lot of people were like, oh my God. This, first of all, is California. California elected, the only Republican that they would elect before was, that they've been electing are people in entertainment, I guess. Ronald Reagan, an actor. Arnold Schwarzenegger, an actor. Bruce Jenner, celebrity. So it doesn't seem that outrageous that the person with the most name recognition that we would know about, the soonest and the quickest would be Bruce Jenner. That doesn't seem so. And that's really the sad part. That doesn't seem so outrageous. It just doesn't seem that outrageous for California. It would be crazy if it were Alabama. It would just be like, what? It would seem insane. But California, it seems to be pretty much par for the course. However, this election is going to go forward. I've got some, but I don't want to slide into the rest of what we're going to talk about. But this sort of connects. You have some interesting information. In 2022, there are 20 gubernatorial seats up for election. 20 Republican gubernatorial elections up for re-election in 2022. 20. So we'll see how that goes. The good news, and this is going to seep into what I'm going to talk about now. This is not going to be a long morning report. It's going to seep into what I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Right now, there are 54.27 of all legislative seats. Republicans own that. More than half of the legislative seats in the country they have Republicans sitting in. That's in all the state legislatures. That's pretty impressive. Why the governors are important? is this, because there are 23 states that have what Ballotpedia calls, good morning, Mr. Swanson, good morning, what Ballotpedia calls trifectas, where they have Republican-run houses and senates and a Republican governor. There are 23 trifectas, Republican trifectas. Of the 50 states, 23 of them have Republican-run Senate, Republican-run House, and a Republican governor. That's good news if you're a Republican. If you're a Democrat, it's not such good news. If you're, a screaming leftist, it's not such good news. Like I keep saying, I'm not here to make friends, not here to make enemies. Unfollow me, unfriend me if you have to. I get it. It's okay. So we're going to seep right into the plan, according to me, moving forward. I have basically 4 steps in the plan, so you might want to write these down. Remember when you were in school and the teacher said you might want to write these down and you didn't, and then you wished and then you wished like, oh my God, I wish I'd written that down. Yeah. All right, so there you go. First of all, for Republicans and conservatives, as it pertains to the elections in 2020, first, and this is going to be the hardest for you, concentrate on local elections. Put more than half of your focus on local elections. Mayoral elections, city council elections, county commission elections, school board elections. Put more than half your energy there, because frankly, most of you are going to be playing catch up. Thank you, Paul. Because this is going to be in the comments, and then you guys can follow along. Paul is my ride or die up in the Aston of Canada, the northern outpost of Fightback Media. It's important. If you're worried about some of this other stuff, if you're worried about lockdowns, if you're worried about mask mandates, if you're worried about all that stuff, most of those lockdowns and mask mandates were put into effect by local governments. And they're being held in effect by local governments, by mayors, city councils, county commissions. If you're worried about things like critical race theory and those kind of things, and indoctrinate, and your schools being indoctrination centers, is because those are being run by school board members. They're not being run by the Department of Education. And that's been kind of the precipitation that's going on in the media, that you hear about something from the Department of Education and then you're mad at them about what's happening in your school system. Well, you should be angry about what's happening in your school system, or what's happening with the people that you elect or you don't elect because you don't pay attention in just to your school board. So super important. Like Paul just said, all politics is local. So do that first. More than 50% of your energy should be on local elections. And some of y'all will have to do massive catch up. You can tell me what HR blah 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 in the House of Representatives is that not quite brought to the floor vote. You can tell me every detail about that, but you can't tell me a dang on thing about what's about to happen at the school board meeting. What's about to happen at the school board meeting this Tuesday. You don't know, because your focus is in the wrong place. You wonder why things don't work like they're supposed to, because your focus is in the wrong place. Concentrate on local elections first. Do that first. Second of all, then worry about state elections. That's governors, state house, state senate. Those are important too, because it is I'm going to say this word, and if you giggle, well, then maybe this conversation is too mature for you. It's a prophylactic approach to protect your state from the madness of the federal government. It's a prophylactic approach. Look to statewide elections. Exactly. Do that second. Put about 30% of your energy and your funds and your time into that. Hey, Juno, good to see you. Because that's super important too. Some of your states got state got state lockdowns and state mandates and all that stuff during COVID. Yes. So it's super important that you concentrate next on that. And then the third step, U.S. Senate. Why the U.S. Senate? Because right now the balance in the U.S. Senate is 50-50. Most of the things that have to be passed in the Senate have to be, by Senate rule, have to be passed by have to be passed by 60%. And right now, the Democrats don't have the 60 votes. Don't have the 60 votes. Gridlock is good. Right now, where we are, gridlock is good. Concentrate on the Senate because it is the closest. And there are, let me see here, I really took some notes this morning. Yeah, there are 20 seats up for re-election right now for the U.S. Senate. One of them happens to be in Florida. So yes, it is extremely important that you concentrate a lot of your effort on U.S. Senate. Now, a lot of us have heard, what time is it? Okay. A lot of us have heard recently that there's some talk about out there that the Republicans could regain the House in 2022. It's not uncommon for the party that is out of the White House to gain seats or even take control of the House of Representatives in the first midterm election. That's not out of the ordinary. It happened the last time, didn't it? Yeah, sure did. So it isn't, it won't be unusual. Because if you remember your 8th grade civics, every single seat in the House of Representatives is up for election in 2022. Every single seat of the House of Representatives is up for re-election every 2 years. Every 2 years. Which is the most amazing thing. Hey, Suzanne. The most amazing thing about how some of these people stay in office in the House of Representatives for 40 plus years. How the heck is that possible? You work a year, you run a year, you work a year, you run a year for 40 years? And people are screaming for term limits. I got an idea. Get up off your whoosy what's it. Elect somebody else. Just saying. But you got to get up off your whoosy what's it and do that. I mean, if you let some clown be your U.S. rep for 40 years and then you're complaining about there's no term limits, is it because you want the system? You want government to come in and do what you couldn't do? You see how some of you may want to unfollow me? Or you can get up off your whoosy what's it and do exactly what a lot of us tell young people to do. Figure it out. Figure it out. Don't tell me it's hard. Figure it out. And no, and this is why I'm doing, and this is why I put this one last, because you can't do, I'm talking to Republicans and Conservatives, I'm talking to Democrats and Progressives, you can't do anything, really, about a representative from another district. If you don't like Nancy Pelosi, that's too bad. Too bad. All you could do is make sure that the person that you support in your district gets elected. So maybe she doesn't become speaker. But if the people of her district keep sending her back, well, there you go. There you go. Same thing with Steny Hoyer. If you don't like Representative Maxine Waters, that's really up to her district. So stop focusing on other districts. Focus on your own. If you're going to spend time, focusing on the House of Representatives. Focus on the House of Representatives where you live. Paul mentioned in the comments just a second ago, in the comments on Facebook. I'm sorry if you're watching. I'm going to upload this to YouTube later. If you're watching on YouTube, you didn't get to see those comments. But he mentioned that the 2022 elections will be interesting, considering the census numbers. The census number came out and were presented to the president, and it seems there's going to be some reapportionment, some shifting around. Why is it important? I'm just going to be blunt with you. Why is it important that important for Republicans anyway, that most of the state legislatures are Republican led governors, because Republicans get to decide, or get to be hopefully get to decide where these new districts go. For instance, let me give you a for instance here in the state of Florida. We gained one congressional district seat, because of the influx of people. The influx of people during the census time, not just this month. We get about 1,000 people a week coming to Florida. Yeah, don't New York my Florida, by the way. Yeah, that t-shirt's available. Don't New York my Florida. Don't Cuomo my DeSantis. If you just scroll up and down this page, if you're on Facebook, you scroll up and down that page, go ahead and knock that out. Hit that button. Get that merch, baby. Merch links in bio. If they put the new seat in South Florida, which is basically a Democrat stronghold, it won't do Republicans any good. Let's just be honest. If they find a way to divvy things up and drop that new seat, that new congressional district, in the middle of the villages, well, that's a different story. I don't think it's going to be in either of those places, because that would be the third rail of politics, frankly, here in the state. So I don't think either of those things are going to happen. I'm just using that as an example. It just depends on where these districts pop up. I think Texas has got two new seats. Paul, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Texas got 2 seats. California lost one. Okay, so they've got 140,000 anyway, so they lost one. I think New York lost one. They've got a bunch too. And some other. I think Ohio lost one too. So people are moving. People are moving to Texas. People are moving to Florida. And this kind of proves it. So, two for Texas. So it's going to be interesting for this election, and then the election in 2024 as well, when we're voting for U.S. reps too. Now, first of all, okay. Now I'll talk about elections for a few minutes. Got 7 minutes, and before I have to go. I know a lot of you who watched the election in 2020 are disenchanted. Is that a mild enough term? Disenchanted with the national elections for all sorts of reasons, and we're not going to talk about that in this particular program. But I know there are a lot of you who are disenchanted, who are at the point, why bother, right? Right? Yeah, some of y'all are. I think it's important that we use whatever is left of the system. If you are a person who is a proponent of the system and the republic, I think that it's important that we use it. Yes, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do now. So if you're going to get involved on the local level, like I asked you to, then yes, then you're going to have to volunteer to be a poll watcher. You're going to have to maybe even volunteer to work at the polls. Taking IDs or handing out ballots or whatever the gig is. So we can have more eyes. more eyes. Andrew Breitbart mentioned that. Oh, cool. Thank you, Paul. So there is a link there in the and I'm gonna try to remember, Paul, if you can remind me to put this link in the comment section when I upload this to YouTube a little later this afternoon. Andrew Breitbart told me and preached to me that what we need here in on the media side are more voices, but on the election side we need more eyes. We need more eyes, and we need more eyes where it can be the foggiest. We need as many eyes on the coming election and coming elections as we possibly can. And that's going to inconvenience some people. Yes. It's going to inconvenience people. But it's super important to do. Because if it's that important to you, if fair and free and open elections are that important to you, then we all have to be willing to sacrifice something for them. A lot of us, conservatives and Republicans, talk about the sacrifice of soldiers and the sacrifice of other people for the Republic and for our freedoms. But that's not the question now. We know what their sacrifices were. We talk about it. We wax poetically about it on Memorial Day and Veterans Day and the 4th of July. But the question is, what are you willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to sacrifice for the Republic? Some time away from work, taking a day off, maybe 3 or 4 days off because you got to go to training. What are you willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to give up? That's what the question is now. Thank you, Paul. There's a link to saveourelections.com. Maybe there's places there that you can volunteer, things you can, suggestions about what you can do. But that's what this is about now anymore. This is not about them and what they're doing, and it isn't. It's about what you're doing. What are you willing to do? How much are you willing to be inconvenienced? That's what this is about. We're going to find out. The thing is, we are going to find out, aren't we? All right, listen. Thank you ever so much for spending a little time with me. I wanted to get in and get a quick hit here. Thank you again to my friend, my good friend, Paul Swanson of the Swanson Report, theswansonreport.net, theswansonreport.net, theswansonreport.net. You want to check that out for sure. A lot of great articles. Paul's got a really good handle on how things are going and a fantastic method and way to express them in writing and in video. So you really want to check that out. The SwansonReport.net is embedded into the FightBackMedia.com website, FightBackMedia.com, FightBackMedia.com. You can also go to our to the Morning Report YouTube page, Facebook page, and that'll give you some insight to what we do every day or near about every day on the Morning Report. Again, my name is Willie Lawson, and this has been the Morning Report. And so until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now. Thanks, Paul.